How's it going, guys? Today I'm going to bring you a quick duel between two of the best entry-level Swiss dive watches you can buy. On the left here is this Glycine Combat Sub, and on the right is my Steinhart Ocean One, the red one vintage edition. Both these watches are exceptional value for money, and I'm going to be reviewing them on 10 key criteria that I find are important for retaining and wearing watches. So let's dive right into it. I'm first going to talk about the movements for these watches, and when we're rating them, they're actually both going to get solid 9s. And the reason for this is both of them actually run the same movement. They both run the ETA 2824-2, although on the Glycine here, they actually call it the Caliber GL224. It's just decorated slightly differently, I believe, than the normal ETA movement, but both of them are essentially the same. Workhorse Swiss movements. They gain about 5 seconds a day, I would say, but overall, they're just excellent Swiss movements, so they're both going to score a 9 out of 10. Now let's talk about design quickly. Right off the hop, both of these are somewhat homages to a Rolex Submariner. I give a nod to the Glycine, and it's only because it just does a little bit more to make it more of its own. And there are touches like, if you look closely on the dial, you can see that on the inside of a chapter ring, you also have in orange the 24-hour military time. Also, small touches like if you look at the bezel, the top here has an extra notch that really helps with the orientation. And just the overall design of it is slightly slimmer than a traditional Rolex Submariner. Whereas if you look at the Steinhart Ocean One, this is pretty much as close to a true homage to a Sea Dweller as you can get without actually being a Sea Dweller. So, it is designed very nicely, but it definitely takes all the cues from Rolex here, and that's why the nod ultimately will go to the Glycine, I think. Performance-wise, these both get solid 9s out of 10. Again, you get that solid Swiss ETA movement. Both of them are, 316L stainless steel. Both of them, just have really, really nice touches around the bezel. They just perform really, really well for the price point that you're getting. So both 9 out of 10 for sure. Let's talk about a really important criteria I find for me retaining watches, and that's comfort. The nod definitely goes to Glycine here. It gets 10 out of 10. It is the most comfortable watch I own. And I think that's largely due to the design of the case. And just look how thin that case is. It's really lightweight. And I just love how these lugs, they just drape down and they really hug your wrist. You can wear this for days on end, forget it's even there. It's just such a comfortable and classy watch to wear. Now the Steinhart's no slouch, it gets a solid 8. It's definitely more reminiscent of a beefier Rolex Sea Dweller. If you look at the case design, it is a thicker case, it's a heavier watch. And also, the lugs are just, they're definitely a lot straighter, so you definitely feel, when you're wearing it, it definitely has a slightly bigger presence. Smaller wrist sizes might not appreciate it as much. It does wear completely fine on my 7¼ inch wrist though. So we talked about comfort, now let's look at quality. And in this case, I'm actually going to give a nod to the Steinhart with a 9 out of 10 for quality. And that's just, you can definitely tell they have a strong attention to detail. There's just slightly more detail on the crown, I would say. It's gnarled slightly better. The case back is very, very intricate. Even the quality of the bracelet, although I'm not going to compare apples to apples on the bracelet because on my Glycine, that's an aftermarket Super Oyster bracelet. But I do enjoy this bracelet a fair amount. The clasp is fairly simple, but nice details. You get the sign class as well. But very, very high quality overall. It's got a really nice domed anti-reflective sapphire crystal. The glycine is also not nice with respect to quality. I mean, it gets an 8. It just doesn't have as much, I would say, finishing details. I mean, it is a very nice sapphire crystal as well. It's not domed. It's anti-reflective as well. But overall, with respect to quality, slight edge going to the Steinhart for this duel. Let's talk about style. Both of them, again, solid 9s out of 10. I mean, you can't really go wrong. I mean, it's definitely a dive watch. It's definitely one of those sports watches. You know, you can slightly dress it up. You can dress it down. Very stylish. And again, I can't really separate the two. I mean, both share many style cues. So both 9s out of 10s. Okay, let's look at versatility. I'm giving the nod again to the Glycine. I just think it's slightly more versatile, just based on the way it's designed with the case being super thin. It's easier to fit under the cuff. You know, it's slightly, I would say, less toolistic. So, I mean, you could dress it up a little easier than I think you could for the Steinhart. So, you know, it's a little more versatile in formal settings versus, I would say, the Steinhart. But overall, I mean, again, the Steinhart, when we're talking about versatility, I mean, it's very versatile in its own right as well. I still think you can dress this up a bit. And it just looks great as an everyday watch. So, I mean, it's no slouch. But overall, the versatility nod will go to the Glycine. Let's talk about durability next. And in this case, I do think Steinhart does have a strong edge here. I mean, it does have a stronger depth rating. This is 300 meters water resistant, where the Glycine is only 200 meters water resistant. You definitely have a thicker, more prominent case. And the case back also feels slightly more substantial. Yeah, I mean, the bezel, I do feel like it feels more solid. It's 120 click unidirectional rotating bezel versus Steinhart's. I mean, sorry, the Glycine is only 60 click unidirectional, but it's a beefier watch. It feels more durable. The Glycine, I mean, I would say it's pretty durable as well. I'm just a little more apprehensive because it's such a thin case. Yeah, I mean, that's really all there is to say. I mean, I haven't gotten many nicks on it, but I wouldn't feel as comfortable, you know, bagging it around as the Steinhart. So the edge goes to a Steinhart for sure. And you know, there's always brand awareness. Both of these brands, I would say, you know, they're not household names. For Swiss brands, they're not like Tag, they're not Rolex, they're not Omega. But I would say, if I had to give it to one with more horological significance, it would definitely be the Glycine. It gets a 7 out of 10. I mean, let's not forget, Glycine's been around since 1914. They definitely do have a couple of standout watch lines. I mean, the Combat Sub you can get in endless colors, Dow colors. You can get it on straps, you can get it on bracelets, things like that. I mean, they also have the Airman, which became really popular in the late 50s and 60s. So Glycine, I mean, it is making a name for itself. The name might be tarnished slightly because it was recently purchased by Invicta, but from what I can tell, the quality hasn't changed, even though Invicta owns it now. Steinhart, again, it hasn't been around as long. They definitely stick to horological, well, kind of nods to horological pieces. So they do a lot of homages, especially for Rolex pieces. So, I mean, they've been around since the early 2000s, I think. You know, they're based in Germany. When I bought this, it shipped straight from Germany. But it's all Swiss made. But they haven't been around as long. So I think there isn't as much awareness for Steinhart as well. But they definitely make, you know, very good quality timepieces. And lastly, I'm going to mention value. When we talk about value, I mean, again, you really can't go wrong with both these pieces competing between the $500 to $1,000 price range for a Swiss-made diver. I mean, that's amazing. Automatic ETA movements. But I think the value proposition is slightly better for the Glycine. It gets a 9 out of 10. And again, I think that's for reasons I mentioned, like with the combat sub, you can get it in so many different options. You know, you can get them on the gray market for around $500 easily, which is slightly cheaper than I think you can find the Steinhart for. So, I mean, 9 out of 10. But let's not forget, the Steinhart here is a really, really great value. I mean, I did buy it new, direct from the manufacturer. It's around $700 Canadian. You know, you do see them come up on the gray market or on eBay every so often. You can get them for cheaper for sure. But again, it gets an 8 out of 10 as well. Very strong value for money. Really, really excellently designed case. You know, Swiss movement. And it's a great looking homage piece to a Sea Dweller as well. So let's total it up. So I mean, overall guys, I do give the victory to the Glycine. It's a very, very small gap differential though. I mean, again, you can't really go wrong with either pieces. But I will say just the slight nod does go to Glycine because the overall comfort and versatility of it I find is slightly better or more preferred for me than the Steinhart. But again guys, you really can't go wrong with either piece. I'd really love to know what you guys think in the comments below. Both these watches are really, really great value for money. But yeah, I mean, I just want to give you my thoughts and opinions, you know, when we're comparing head to head here. But again, slight victory goes to Glycine. So please let me know what you guys think in the comments below, and I'll catch you guys next time.